Well, good evening and thanks for joining us here on News 20 on GTN. I'm Randy Gardner. We've got a great show for you tonight. Very informative. Joining me to my right from the St. Louis Crisis Nursery, we have Vicki Squires, family empowerment social worker. Glad you could join us. We appreciate your time here on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
And to your right, we have Judy Ferguson Shaw, youth director with, make sure I get this right, Iota Phi Lambda Sorority.
Is that
correct?
Correct. That's very good.
Guys, we appreciate your time, and today we're going to talk about something that is sometimes for a lot of people difficult to talk about. They don't know how to step into it, how to even broach the subject. We're talking about the St. Louis Crisis Nursery, and before we even start, let's explain what the word crisis means, because everybody has a different level of what that means to them.
Right. And so for some of us, a crisis would mean one thing that wouldn't necessarily be a crisis to someone else, because we might have some support that could help us to weather that crisis. But for a lot of the families who use our nursery, their crisis might be that they've had a house fire and they have nowhere for the kids to stay while mom resolves, helps the family regroup. Their family might be involved in domestic violence. They might be homeless. Mom might have a hospitalization or emergency surgery and the kids don't have anywhere to go. Their utilities might be disconnected. Mom might have a job interview tomorrow. She's really been looking forward to getting a job. She's unemployed, but she doesn't have anywhere for the kids to go. So those are the kinds of things that we try to help families who are in crisis navigate. And our overarching concern is we want those kids to be safe and to thrive, and we want their families to be strong. And when the nursery was founded in 1986, there was a concern that when families were going through crises, there was no place other than state intervention for the kids. These crises would end in placement with the state, and this is not, a good outcome often for many kids. So we wanted, when the nursery was founded all those years ago, we just wanted to prevent child abuse and neglect, and we also wanted to help families stay strong and help them to have some support when they encounter these difficult times. So.
Now, back in 1986, the numbers are staggering. 274 children helped in 1986. Now you're looking at numbers in the 6,800 range, which is unbelievable to me. But I think when that first step is always the most difficult for someone who is in a crisis situation. Should I call? Should I not? Right. What's going to be the outcome? Is that what you guys see too? And what would be your words of advice to somebody watching out there today about, it's okay, everybody hits those stumbling blocks, and maybe this little bit of help can be that help that gets you past it. What would you say to that person? And I'll start with you, Judy, about picking up that phone and just simply making that call.
Sometimes, like you said, it's very, very difficult for people to seek help. So you have to just engage with them and let them know that there is someone out there who really, really cares about you, and it won't be held against you. If the nursery is not judgmental. So if you need help with those children, it's best to go take your children to a safe place, because with the nursery, they have professional people there working with the children. Social workers, counselors, they have volunteer parents, grandparents who are there to work with these children, to rock them, to play games with them, and make them feel comfortable. It's important to be able, for the family who's leaving their home, leaving their children somewhere, they want to be able to relax and know that where they're taking their children is going to be a safe place. And the nursery is a safe place and has a very good history.
And that was going to be my next question, is that call is hard to make, because I think a lot of people, including myself, before I understood how the organization works, thinks, okay, I bring my child, I do whatever, okay, my name's on a list now. Oh. And anytime anything happens, they're going to go back and start checking this list. I dropped them off once, I dropped them off twice. But that's not the case. No,
and what we're hoping to do is prevent that sort of thing from happening. It's a confidential service, and so there's no state, intervention or anything like that. What we want them to do is to come and have their kids be in a safe place so that they can then work on whatever emergency or crisis has led to to the placement. So when the children are brought, the intake counselor that works with the mom goes through, talks a lot about what's bringing you here. What are some of the resources we can share with you right now that could help you while your kids are here to get those utilities back on, to find a place to stay, to just any variety of things. And so while the kids are there, mom or dad is really working to correct and sort of regroup, and we try to help them provide, do that. So yeah, the whole goal of the crisis nursery was to avoid those kinds of placements or with the state, or just things that would keep the family from being intact.
Now, yourself being a follow-up director, walk us through some of the feedback that you hear from individuals who have gone through this, gotten back on their feet. As you just talked about, you walk them through, you help them. It's just not drop off, pick back up, and go on your merry way. You're really trying to get them back on their feet. It's got to be very positive and very uplifting for both of you to hear these stories.
Right, and what we always believe is just in the power of human potential. So the families that I work with, I've been at the nursery for about a year, and so I've been able to have the experience of meeting families in that crisis point, and then seeing them just do amazing things. We don't have a time limit on our program, the Family Empowerment Program, but in maybe 6-9 months, a year, they've found work, they've found a place to stay, they've learned some new parenting skills that they wanted to learn to be a better parent. They've just met some incredible challenges, so that's really exciting. And what I also hear from the kids when I visit is, I want to go back to the crisis nursery. It was so much fun. They had such a good time. And their parents have to say, well, really, that's just, it's not like camp or something. But, while they're there, they get 3 meals, they get 3 snacks, they play. We have in North County, at our North Nursery, we have a wonderful outdoor playground. The kids get to play and just have a good time. And so our goal is always that just the staying there would be a really nurturing, warm experience for them, and not feel scary or hard to be away from their parents.
And right now there's 5 crisis nurseries here in the St. Louis area. We'll tell you about those in just a bit here on the show. But Judy, let's talk about your personal experience and how you're involved, and how backing off what she talked about. It's got to make you feel great to be involved.
Oh, absolutely. Iota Phi Lambda sorority, our former president, now deceased national president, Dr. Freda Witherspoon, was actually on the ground floor of helping the crisis nursery to establish. I didn't know that when I became a member of the organization. But my daughter is connected with the nursery. She works for the nursery. And that was when I really became engaged with the nursery to learn all of the things that they do. And it's just amazing, the services that are provided to families and the services that they give. So IOTA, Alpha Zeta chapter, adopts a family once a year, and we fill their Christmas wish. So, and that's always fun to, just look at that list and be able to fill it totally with everything that they've asked for. And I know that brings a whole lot of joy to parents and to the children when they get up on Christmas morning and find all of those wonderful toys that they've asked for, that they're there for them. And we also do like back to school book bags. So we do a book bag drive every year and supply all the school supplies in a book bag for the children. And I think last year we may have provided up to like 75 book bags. And sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but for sure we get those book bags together and give them to the children. And you know what? I have seen some of the children who's gotten some of those bags. They don't know that I was behind it. They're excited.
And the parents are really excited too, because it's very stressful at school, when
Yeah.
back to school time for everybody, you know,
Right.
just summer's ending, and parents are very concerned about having the supplies they need when
Right.
their kids go back, and there's an increasingly long list of things that they have to have, and so what a joy it is for me
Yeah.
to receive those from you, and then just to be able to give them out to the parents. It's
And it
really
doesn't
awesome.
feel good to be able to supply those book bags. And we also have, I'm the youth director for our Iota Phi Lambda sorority, our youth programs, and we bring our children in to help fill those bags, and they donate. And so it makes them feel like they're involved with this process and helping other people. So.
The numbers, when, as we talked about before, about 275 in 86, over 6,800 now. What do you see for the future? Of course, I mean, this is a bad thing to say, but of course, everybody would like to see you go out of business,
Right.
basically,
Of course.
with no need. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. We know that's not going to happen. And just the way society is now, it just seems like this trend continues to grow and grow. What do you see?
Well, I see a lot of stress on families of all socioeconomic groups, but in particular, the families we work with are usually low income, and so the recession has been very hard
Yes.
and it's been very hard for families to find jobs, and so that's one of the reasons that people fall into some of the crises that they do. So that's been, I would hope, you know, that if and when the economy picks up, that'll be good for our families, that all the boats will rise. But
It's so unfortunate right now with that economy being as bad as it is. I don't see any decrease at this point of the nurseries' need. We may need more nurseries and more volunteers and more support systems for the nursery to come in. And while we're talking about the supporting families, the nursery also needs support. So it would be good if those out in the listening audience would consider donating diapers to the nursery. They certainly need more diapers, and there are other things that you need, right?
Formula, wipes, clothes. We just collect everything: shoes, blankets, everything you would need for a child. We give it out and use it while the kids are at the nursery. When the kids come, they don't need to bring anything for them. We have pajamas there for them to wear at night. We have clothes for them if they need, you know, to change. We have everything. So whatever a family might need, if anyone has that at their house, they can donate it to the nursery for sure.
That was going to be my next question.
Okay.
How, as an individual out there watching today, how can they get involved? Of course, financially, it's always beneficial to any organization, but how can they get involved as far as donating? You walked through some of the things. Is there a certain place they should contact, call, or?
Well, on our website, if they'd like to check that out, www.crisisnurserykids.org, there's a tab that says, "How can I help?" And a couple of the really great ways people can help is some people have like diaper drives, or they'll have a baby shower and just ask people to bring diapers to school children, do drives at their school and collect. I can assure you that every single diaper or thing that we receive, we just try to get that back out immediately into the community. So that's an awesome way that people can feel supported. You know, one of the things that my program tries to do is help families work on goals, but then to reduce the stress and isolation they feel. So when we can share something that somebody that they didn't even know donates, it's just a really neat way to bring the community into that process of reducing stress. And then we have wonderful volunteers. On the website, it shows, it gives the numbers for our volunteer coordinators, and any day there will be people in the nursery just playing with kids. Of course, they're checked and screened and everything, but grandmas who do it regularly because they just love to rock babies, you know, or it's high school kids who that's part of their community service. And they are very enthusiastic, wonderful volunteers because they love to play with kids, you know, and so that's another awesome way the community can help.
I was going to say, those children out there in high schools who are looking for community service hours, this is a wonderful place for them to accumulate those community service hours. And when your student councils and National Honor Society have their service projects and they're collecting stuff, those canned goods, those diapers, formulas, collect them, bring them to the nursery. We need them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've talked about bringing the children to the center itself, but there's also a 24-hour hotline
Yes.
that someone can call and just maybe bounce some of their feelings off. I mean,
Absolutely.
sometimes that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And so if someone doesn't feel like they're really ready to bring their kids in, they can always call that hotline and just say, I'm feeling really stressed. Sometimes people call and just cry, or call and just talk, and that's a really great way to diffuse, whatever they're feeling. And the person on the other end is trained to take those kinds of calls and to make helpful suggestions, and just to be someone who can, try to kind of talk you down. Because all of us know, if we're parents, that's the hardest thing we'll ever do, and sometimes people think it's supposed to be, they don't know that, other people are struggling too, and so it's helpful to reach out to people who understand and care and can just help.
I'll start with you. Well, I'll start with you, Judy, on this one. A lot of people go to work and they really don't understand the impact that they have on other people throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, the year. As far as you two and what you do in the crisis nursery, you're changing lives on a daily basis. How does that make you feel personally, and everybody that works within that group? Is this something where you go home and you feel sad at night, or do you go home and feel uplifted that, wow, this was a bad situation, but we're helping to make it become good?
Okay. Now, I'm a drop-in volunteer, so I'm not there every day. But when I am working for the nursery and collecting stuff for the nursery, it is a feel-good thing to know that, I'm doing something to help somebody else. There are some days when it's just kind of hard because you have so much on you, and you just feel like, I just don't feel like it. But when you're able to get up and dress up and get out and go do something for somebody else and know that it makes a tremendous difference in somebody else's life, it makes you feel good to know that you've helped someone else. Gives you that energy that you need to just keep going.
And Vicki, yourself, dealing with this on an everyday basis?
Well, some days are hard, and because because people's situations are really hard, and so sometimes that is a hard thing to just be part of. But overall, I love having a job where I feel like I'm making a difference, and then I also just have such amazing clients, and folks that I work with. And my program, we meet with folks in their home. So, because for many people, transportation is a real barrier to services. So, after they've used the nursery, they are invited to be part of the Family Empowerment Program. All the folks who go through the nursery are invited to be in Family Empowerment. And because we know that those crises that maybe brought them into the nursery usually don't resolve themselves in a couple days, and they might just need some additional support, or want to have someone to talk to about things they're going through, or might want some help with the kids and understanding how to be a better parent or whatever. So the joy of my job is that I get to build these relationships with wonderful people, and just watch them flourish and grow. So some days are hard, a lot of days are really great. So
kind of jumping back to that whole situation of picking up the phone and making that first phone call, you almost have to stop and think sometimes that it's not about me, it's about the kids. The kids are so fragile.
Right.
They don't understand what's going on in this world. They don't understand the complex problems that parents might have with their finances. But then again, if they are not brought to somewhere like the crisis nursery, they almost become a part of it, maybe too much of a part of it.
Right.
So my advice as a parent, if you're involved in some kind of situation that you can't handle, is to take your children and get them out of, and I don't want to say out of the way, but out of the situation so you can get yourself straight.
Absolutely.
Because the kids, they see that, they carry that their whole lives. So is that your advice, to think about the kids first?
Absolutely. That's what, and most of our parents do, and that's why they come in. And most parents, that's their ultimate concern. But sometimes when you're in the middle of something really hard, it's hard to maintain that perspective all the time. So just being aware that kids are just kids, and they can't, help what's going on with the larger world. And it is great that there's a place that the kids can go and be kids and play and just be cared for while parents work out whatever's going on. And yeah, you're right. That's a great way to think.
It's those parents out there that hasn't called in yet that I think are important for us to reach today, for them to know that there is a place for them to get assistance. And while everyone doesn't know about the crisis nursery, if they just start asking around, hey, I heard about that crisis nursery, what is that about? I would guarantee the listening audience that it wouldn't be long before they found someone who could verify that the crisis nursery is a really great service for them. And it helps parents. Sometimes you're a parent, I'm a parent, you've been a parent. Sometimes those kids, you just need some space to think and get stuff together. And having a place to take those children and leave them for a moment, get them out of the crisis that you're in, and you deal with the crisis and let the children be children, because they can be children at the nursery.
And I think if they take one thing from today's program, as they pass the word on, is that you hear the word crisis nursery. It's not a negative thing. It's a very positive. The word crisis is always associated with something negative, but this makes it a very positive experience.
Absolutely.
That would be the one thing, as a host of the show, that I would want to get across to everybody out there. We talked to Val before we went on the air here, and she was talking about all the different programs that are available. We could spend a whole another hour going through all the programs that are available to families and to children. But are there a couple that you might want to touch on that you want everybody to know out there?
Well, I think you mentioned one, the Christmas program. The folks who are in our Family Empowerment Program, we at Christmas just try to provide some really wonderful gifts for the kids and for the family at that time. So that's a great way for folks in the community to be part of what we do, just by adopting a family at Christmas. And then we do provide backpacks and
you might want to throw out there the whole situation of parents sometimes find themselves not able to celebrate their children because it's birthday time.
Yeah, right. And at birthdays, we have, sometimes parents will say, I don't have anything for my kids. Well, we have toys. What do they want? We bring out toys. We have a group that provides little birthday bags that have cake mix and icing and everything you need to make a cupcake and a little birthday banner and hats, So people in the community are just so thoughtful.
Right.
And then
sometimes they don't have shoes, and the shoes have gotten too small. I remember that story, and so the mom was able to come and get that little kid some shoes, and his feet weren't hurting anymore. Oh my God, how important that is!
That is.
I think another thing is things that sometimes a lot of people just take for granted. That, shoes that fit and that don't have holes in them. And clothes that fit. These are things that families are experiencing difficulty with.
Right, because they don't have the jobs anymore and the money isn't coming in, and yet the kids' needs are the same.
Right.
They still need stuff. So can I say something about a need for the nursery for those people who don't have children, who want to get involved and want to do something? Because the nursery has a celebrity waiters event once a year. For those people who just want to get involved and provide more money and help with the nursery. We also have Razzle Dazzle, that's a big one.
Lots of fundraisers.
Lots of fun, great big event. But then you've got the Love Hug.
Those are awards.
Shop, Love
Hug
that's
coming up
Shop
this week,
that's coming up at the front neck.
This week.
This week.
February
6th,
this Thursday.
Folks can go on the website and learn about that and come on out and learn more about the nursery and win a lot of good prizes and have a lot of fun with girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. But come to Frontenac and have some fun.
Yeah, all you need to do is simply go to the website. The Razzle Dazzle Ball will be on April 12th, and then the Celebrity Waitress and Waiters Night is in August. You get Over the Top for Tots in November, and then the Napoli Night in November also. So there's things periodically throughout the year. Just watch the billboards on the highway. You name it, there's information out here on how you can get involved in the crisis
nursery.
And once once you get involved in an organization, and I've seen this through years of donating time, that you become so attached to something that once you see that, yes, my one little action or my one little donation of time or money is truly making a difference, you want to become more of a part of what you're doing. As we start to kind of bring this all to a close and kind of summarize everything, let's jump back to the beginning and touch on the mission real quick, Vicki, of the Crisis Nursery as a whole for anybody just tuning in now.
Sure. So the mission is to prevent child abuse and neglect, and to build strong families, and to help parents be the best parents that they can be, and to keep kids safe while their parents are going through some hard stuff.
And of course, the big key is don't be afraid to pick up that phone, the 24-hour hotline, 7 days a week. You can call that. You can go to the website, find out more information. Your words of advice, Judy, as we start to bring the show to a close today.
My word for advice is, if you're out there in the listening audience and listening to all of the wonderful things that you've heard about the nursery, go to the website. Go to the website, learn something about the nursery, and find a place where you know you can fit in and get in and make a difference. Because it takes a village to raise a child. More and more now today with the economy, it definitely needs the village to help the nursery to support families. So get involved.
And as we had mentioned as we started the show, in 1986, 274 children helped, now over 6,800. So you can see out there that the need is definitely there, whether it's financial or just your time to come out and be a part of the event. Ladies, we appreciate your time. We definitely appreciate what you're doing for the community. Once again, the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. If you want any more information, please visit the website. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight here on News 20 on GTN. We'll see you tomorrow night.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Be out there. Be out there. Be out there. Be out there.
Time was, kids did what came naturally. Spending free time running barefoot through the grass, wading knee-deep in streams, climbing to the tallest branch. But today, American kids are more likely found texting, watching TV, or gazing at a computer screen. They spend more than 7 hours in front of electronic media. Something essential has been lost. Childhood's connection to the natural world. That's why National Wildlife Federation created the Be Out There movement. Kids move indoors causes a host of problems, from obesity to ADHD. But outdoor play can go a long way to improving kids' health, body, mind, and spirit. It helps them stay fit, enhances creativity and attention spans, and could even make them better students. Do your part. Be a part of Be Out There. There's a reason why they call it the great outdoors. Learn more at beoutthere.org.
Be out there!
Our day starts very early. We never know exactly when we'll have a full house, but whatever comes up, travel arrangements, birthdays, homecomings, emails back home, we'll do our very best to see they get what they need. It's the very least we can do, considering what they do for us. If you want to make a difference in the life of someone serving our country, if you really want to make a difference, the USO is how it's done.
Find out more at USO.org. The USO, until everyone comes home.
When Americans volunteer to serve their country promises to take care of them when they come home. For a paralyzed veteran, day-to-day living is a major challenge. Paralyzed Veterans of America works to make sure our veterans get all the benefits they were promised from the country they proudly served. A spinal cord injury is an injury for life.
And at Paralyzed Veterans, we are their partners for life. Thank you for helping us help America's veterans.
Thank you. Our day starts very early. We never know exactly when we'll have a full house, but whatever comes up, travel arrangements, birthdays, homecomings, emails back home, we'll do our very best to see they get what they need. It's the very least we can do, considering what they do for us. If you want to make a difference in the life of someone serving our country, if you really want to make a difference, the USO is how it's done.
Find out more at USO.org. The USO, until everyone comes home.
When Americans volunteer to serve their country promises to take care of them when they come home. For a paralyzed veteran, day-to-day living is a major challenge. Paralyzed Veterans of America works to make sure our veterans get all the benefits they were promised from the country they proudly served. A spinal cord injury is an injury for life.
And at Paralyzed Veterans, we are their partners for life. Thank you for helping us help America's veterans.
Thank you.